Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable lightning bug jar. I'm going to start with a coat of our Mod Podge, and it doesn't matter how thick you lay this on because it's going to dry clear. Once it feels like a good sticky coated layer, I'm going to start adding in my tissue paper. This is my example jar to show you how it kind of overlaps. If you see, when you kind of overlap it, you see that the yellow and the pink mix to create this orangey color, and once you stick them down, that can be even more prominent with painting the second layer of Mod Podge over top to really seal it in. So once you have those two layers of Mod Podge, the tissue paper creates this really cool and kind of clear, almost watercolory effect that we think is really nice on these jars. So next, on the other side, another way that you could create a really cute lightning bug is to cut the shape of one. So I started by cutting out the body of my lightning bug on tissue paper, and then I took two adorable little circles, and you'll see what I do with them in a minute. But first, I'm going to stick that body down. Now I'm taking those circles that I talked about earlier and folding them in half to create adorable little wings. I picked two light colors to make them look a little bit more clear. And then I stuck the body down on top. Once all of my objects were stuck down, I painted over them all again with the Mod Podge to seal them in. And now I let them dry before creating a cute little face. Now, on my actual jar, which is the size that you all have in your kits, I'm going to paint one side with Mod Podge. Make sure you're only coating as much as you're about to cover. You don't want to coat the whole thing and then have it dry and then have too many layers. I decided to work with only warm colors and only circles for my jar, but you could really do anything on these jars, which is why I wanted to show you that first one. I'm sticking mine around at random and making sure I coat every single one with that second layer to really seal it in. I want to make sure mine doesn't look too much like a pattern, so I'm sticking some little fireflies closer together than others. Kind of like they're little friends flying by each other. And I'm alternating my colors. Working around all sides, kind of following the same rule of thumb. You can always go back and add more with another layer if you don't like how your one side turned out at the end. And don't be afraid to work with the curves at the top. Just make sure you put extra Mod Podge to keep them nice and sealed. I love how those two at the bottom overlapped. Once your tissue paper is wet though, with the Mod Podge, it does become a little bit difficult to brush over, so make sure you're being patient. If you brush too quickly, it might crumple. So you just want to make sure you're working smoothly and creating something really nice. So now that I have all of my spots coated, I'm going to let it dry before I decorate it. Now my cute little first lightning bug is dry, so I'm going to draw on an adorable little face and some antenna. And then for my jar, I decided to create a head and then draw on little wings around the circle, as the circle is kind of a glowing end of this lightning bug, I added the antenna, and then I decided to make sure you definitely knew it was glowing by adding some cute little rays. And I continued that image on all of my spots of different colors all around my jar. I decided to definitely make sure all of my lightning bugs were flying different directions, so that way it looked more realistic, even though these are definitely cartoons. And now they're all finished. I love how it turned out. I'm going to take my fairy lights, wrap them very loosely around my hand, being gentle with the string, and then carefully place it into the jar. Then I decided to kind of spruce it up a little bit and move them around so that way it looked like it was just adorable glowing fireflies inside this jar. Now I'm going to add the handle to my jar. So I bent my handle into a U shape and stuck one end into the pre-existing hole, and then I bent it up to make sure it was nice and secure on the inside. And now I want to start stringing on my beads. So I created a pattern with the similar beads to the adorable colors on my jar. And once I was done with that pattern, I swirled it all the way around to the other side. And now creating the second side, I had to do opposite. So I wanted to make sure it looked like a pattern on both ends. So make sure you're doing that if you're creating a pattern. Now I pushed them all to the top and did the same thing as the other side, and just poked the rest of the handle through that hole on the other side and bent it up to keep it nice and safe. I reshaped my wire because I bent it a little bit. And that's adorable. Now we just have to add the lid. Make sure when you're adding your lid, you take all the beads to the top. It might be easier to lay it down to add the lid. And that's it. Your adorable jar is all done. Thanks for watching.